Hi, everybody. It's Kim Griffin and Jen Shepherd from the Mediumship Reading Room. Welcome, everybody, to our little weekly discussion. Today, we're going to be talking about what is a medium and the message. A lot of mediums, especially in development and in practice circles, get very, very concerned about bringing through a message. So we're going to touch on that first. But before we discuss that, I just want to let everybody know that whatever me and Jen do, it's right off the hip. There's nothing scripted.
I don't think anybody could script us anyway.
I don't even wear makeup, for God's sakes. We don't edit, except if my cat gets involved or my husband's leg. But that's about it. So what you see is what you get. Nothing is polished or anything, because I do believe that people need to know what we're really about and that we are down to earth. That's the way it is. So anyhow, I was doing a Q&A yesterday, and somebody was really concerned about how do they get a deeper message. You know, they're going through their readings, you know, they get to the end of it, and the medium had asked me, how do I get a deeper message? How, you know, because everybody wants to get a message from their loved ones. And sometimes it feels like it's very mundane, or it feels like it's the same old, same old. And so how do I kind of retract, go back there, get a message? And my answer is very, very simple. If you have to go back and get a message, there is no message, because the plain fact of the matter is mediumship, evidential mediumship, is about proving the continuity of life, bring forth the evidence of who they are as people here on the earth plane, personalities, maybe physical descriptions, shared memories, maybe how they passed. I mean, there is just, you know, it's an endless amount of evidence that you can bring through. So right there and then, that is the message.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we have to define what's a message.
Right.
You know, what is it? I'm having something difficult in my life and I want my loved one to chime in on it. Well, that shows up in the evidence, you know? So if that loved one knows what's going on, part of the evidence is what's going on in your life right now. Part of the evidence could be a situation in their life that's super similar to maybe what you're going through now. So it's the way of saying, I know what you're going through. I'm here. You know, I don't know that the medium ever has to say, and now they want to tell you, because it'll be, like you said, it'll be right there with what's coming through. And the biggest, if there's a message, is I'm not dead. Here I am. You go. This is from Simon James. He says, now you go live your life. You know, I'm not dead, so you don't need to dwell here. Time for you to go live your life.
Right. That life is continuous, and you have a lot of people that that go to a medium because they're in deep grief, and it's aiding in the bereavement. So to know that their spiritual body is still alive, that is always alive, it never dies. You cannot destroy energy. You cannot destroy energy.
Just more.
Right. It just goes to a different level or a different I don't know what the word.
Pick a word, because the language is not perfect. Frequency, level,
right,
non-physical,
right,
essence,
dimension, whatever you want to, a different dimension, but you cannot destroy it. So the message is in the evidence that I'm still around, that I'm still watching. And part of that is also giving the evidence of what they are observing here on the earth plane. That's part of the evidence as well. It's not as, you know, people will get all caught up. Oh, that's a psychic link. I'm like, I'm not buying it.
No, because they can totally, and you can get verification of stuff like that later. Because I know one time I said something crazy at a dem about a Jello cake mold and roller skates, and the girl didn't know what I was talking about. And she sent me an email later saying, and we had established that it was grandma in spirit.
Mm.
She didn't know, but her cousin had just had a birthday party and the mother made the cousin a Jello cake mold cake and they got roller skates. So it's like perfect because that spirit person's like, I know what's going on in the family.
Right. And you reminded me of a reading that I did one time where, the communicator, it's the son who had passed, had let his mother know. Now, I was reading a friend of hers and she wanted him to come through because I felt that there was a young boy coming through. I say young boy, he was like like in his late teens when he had passed. And so when I brought him, she goes, "Oh, that's my godson." I said, "Okay." And so what I saw and what I told her is that he's acknowledging about the aquarium. He is acknowledging about donations or memorial towards aquarium or blah, blah, blah. And she goes, "Oh, I don't know about that." And then she texted me the next day and then they were having a memorial service for him, or there was some type of fundraiser or something, at something to do with an aquarium or something around that. So, that just proves that, they are around watching, observing. Now, as far as the message is concerned, some people will say to me, "Well, what does he say about selling my house?"
Yeah.
Well, if your father or mother is not good in real estate or really bad in money, what would you ask them for advice about that?
Yeah. Or they might reference that you are considering getting a house. That's the evidence.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But I like your point because, if you would not ask these spirit people in the living about something, why are we concerned about what they think? Why would we ask them that same question?
Right. Just like mom coming through. Mom was married 5 times. So were you going to ask her, advice about your relationships? I don't know. I think I'd pass on that one.
But if they do say something, that could point to their personality and things that they were into.
Right.
So,
yeah.
And again, that's the message. It's their personality, it's their whatever. And then on the other end of that though, too, I think we can get, if we're after something direct from our spirit people, I think we can feel that for ourselves or recognize that for ourselves in some fashion. So I'll just give a funny example. When my boys were wee little, my grandfather had passed and he was always a candy giver. Even if you didn't want him to give the candy, he gave the candy. So, and my husband and I were at a place where they had those crab bars that go down and get up candy and put it over.
Oh, okay.
And the kids were like at the window and I'm like, "No, we have candy at home. You don't need any more candy here. It's time to leave." Right. So we get the coats on, we're ready to leave. The thing starts moving all by itself. It goes over all by itself. It gets down and picks up candy and goes out. I'm like, okay, so we gotta go see what's in there because that's just, we all saw it, right? And the kids are going nuts. So we go over and those things, they got like bad candy, and it's always the same. It's like, but in the thing that we got out was exactly the candy that my grandfather used to give us, that hard caramel candy with the icing that's hard in the middle that,
Oh, I know. Yeah. Marshmallow kind.
Yeah,
I know
those are not in those gimme machines, So
Yeah.
if there was a message for me is that my grandpa's still there, still giving the candy, and how fun is that? It's my own message. I don't know that any medium would be able to give that message. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think we get our own quote messages from our own feelings and what we recognize in the world around us. And that, I guess people could banter back and forth all day long if that was really grandpa, but for me, it was a connection. So I take that, and I think we forget that we can do that and or we as mediums think that we have to give that. And that's not our job.
Yeah. I remember wanting a message of a simple "I'm sorry." I just wanted that in the beginning of getting readings and whatnot, before I was doing this. But I also needed the evidence behind it as well. So when I heard the "I am sorry," I was like, all right, yeah, cool. now I really want to know if it's him. Now I really want to know, so I get that. I have the I'm sorry. And so what else can the medium give me? So I know it's really, 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 really him. And so after a few hundred readings or so, not too impressed. No, I should say I'm not too impressed, but some things you go, yeah. But there was somebody, it was Leona, she gave me a really, and I always brag about this reading because it was so, you gave me some really good stuff too. I remember when we were in Virginia Beach, you gave me some good stuff, but that was 4 years ago. So I can't, sorry about that. But I remember thinking, she said, and there was no message behind it. There was no message as people want a message. But she said, I have a grandfather here named Morris. Who has a grandpa named Morris?
Oh, it's a cat's name.
I wanted to name my cat. Oh, well, I won't get into that. But anyhow, and he's talking about the guy that plays the guitar, Johnny Cash, Folsom Prison Blues. I was just freaking floored, because my father played that every day of his life, loved Johnny Cash, had a guitar, had acoustic guitars, was, not a musician by trade, but something as a hobby, as a grand hobby. So I was like, wow. And now I knew without a doubt that my family was around me, that spirit did live around me. And I held on to, I was probably on a high with just those few pieces of evidence for about a week. I was like, wow. And when I told my sister, like I said, guess what? A medium said this: Morris, grandpa, Folsom Prison Blues, guy that played the guitar. She was like, excuse my language, everybody, holy freaking shit. And I went, I know it. And she's like, damn. And I went, I know.
Yeah. And that's so much more than just some words of message.
Right. Yeah. Like, oh, your father wants you to know that you're doing a great job. Well, yeah, that's great, but how do I know this is really him?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Give me the hardcore meat and potatoes.
Yes. No, I agree. Unless you've gone for a tarot reading, and then that's what that is all about, is you and your right. I mean, those are two different aspects of readings. I think sometimes we try to mush them so much together, or we have some kind of false impression about, or we want so badly, to feel a certain something, that we try to put that on what mediumship is.
Right. Well, I think we're good with that. I think that
we are.
Maybe what is a medium for maybe next week?
Yeah, I think you're right, because we want to keep it short. All right, great, Kim. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Miss Jenn. We can